So hello there and welcome to this video. So in this video we are going to go through how you have to go about a final year project as a final year student in the university. Okay, so you know when you get to final year you would have to get a project done, which is in partial fulfillment for the award of the degree of whatever program you are reading. Okay, so it's a very important part of your schoolwork, and you should make sure when you are doing it, you get it done well. For instance, if you want to apply for scholarships to do your master's or a PhD after here, your project mostly plays an important part in whether you get a scholarship or not. So if you are doing it, you have to make sure you do it very well. So I'm Widow Randolph and I'm going to take you through this. And don't forget to like the video if it helps you, and subscribe to the channel for more content to help you with your projects. Because after this video, we are going to take each of the chapters and break them down for you to really understand what you're supposed to do in your project. Okay. So this is going to be the content of what we are going to do in this video. So we are going to take a quick intro of what your dissertation is, getting a useful project topic, the prerequisites, and something to help you when you are documenting your work. So we talk about the chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, reference and appendix. So what is a project or what is a dissertation, right? So a dissertation is a particular kind of academic task. You will usually be asked to generate a topic for yourself, to plan and execute a project investigating that topic, and to write up what you did and what your findings were. So this is what a dissertation is. Okay, so the project you're going to do, you'll be asked to generate a topic and then execute and investigate certain things, and you write up what you did and the findings and your conclusions. So project dissertation is to be done in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree of whatever program you are reading at the university. It is an essential part of it. So it is something that you cannot skip. You always have to make sure you get it done. You have to do it before you can graduate. So this gives you the opportunity to apply your knowledge in your program of study to solve a real world problem. So it's an important component of the school system and has to be taken serious by all. But the truth is that it's not that easy. But it can be easy though if you put in much effort. Okay, so don't be scared. So right now you know what the project is about. If you have to do a project, why you have to do it, and blah 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 and the rest. Okay, so the first thing is that you have to get a project topic. Because if you don't have a project topic, then what are you going to work on? So now let's just go through how you can get a useful project topic. Alright. So you have to work on your project. If you don't have a topic, you can't even start. You wouldn't know what you want to do. So the most important thing is you getting a topic. So how can you get a topic, right? So first of all, it could be that you don't know or you don't have anything in mind. If that happens, the first step is talk to others, right? So you can ask other students what topics are they considering. Does that topic spark an interest? You realize that as you talk to others, you are going to get suggestions which can help you to know what you have to do in case the interest is there. Then you have to look at other writing. So before you can get a topic, look at what people are doing, right? And that gives you a fair idea of what you can also do. and look through the citations of previous students in your department. All right, so you're not the first to do this. You're not the first to graduate in the department that you are in. Most students have passed through the same procedure, and they've also done something. So you can go to your college library to look through the work done by other students. All right, so this may have a useful suggestions for future research, because mostly when you read the work of others in their recommendation, they bring out the things which can be done to improve the work they have done. So trying to go through the work done by others can help you to easily get a project topic. Okay. And mostly you can find the work done by others, people in your department, in your faculty library or your college library or your department library. So you also have to think about your own interests. Alright? We all have different interests. You might have an interest in something that someone doesn't, and the interest of someone might also be different from yours. So based on your interest, which topic have you found most interesting? In that topic, is there an element that could be developed into a research project? If that's so, then yeah, you can try to turn the topic you have found interesting, right, into a project, and you work on that. Then you have to be extra critical. So, is there something in your course so far that you have been skeptical about, or which you think needs further study? Then you can turn that into a research topic and work on. Okay, so you see, these are all ways that you can use to generate a useful project topic. So remember that a research study can, right? When you're going to do a research, a project, it can replicate an existing study in a different setting, right? So you can choose a topic which someone has worked on before, but you can change one or two things inside. So, for instance, someone worked on a problem, let's say nest scheduling problem, and the person used genetic algorithm. You can also work on the same problem, that's the nest scheduling problem, using a different method. Let's say reverse simplex method or taboo search or something else. Okay, and you can explore an under researched area. There could be some fields in your program of study, right, which are under researched. That means that the research in that area is very, very small. So you can research wide in that area. For instance, when you come to mathematics, the area of knot theory, for instance, the research there is not a lot. So that can also help you to get the project topic in that field. And a research study can also extend a previous study, right? So you chanced on a work done by someone, and the person couldn't do something to it, right? So you can extend that person's study and it becomes yours. So all this will give you an idea on how to generate a project topic. So after you have brought up something, right, a topic, you have to discuss your proposed topic with a member of the academic staff who you think might be appropriate to supervise the project. In some cases, already supervisors will be assigned to you. So when you generate your topic, then you go to that particular person and you speak to that person about it. Okay. So provided that person, the supervisors, they feel that they know enough about the subject to supervise it, and provided that it can be interpreted as falling within the broad fields of your degree subject, academic staff are generally open to suggestions, right? Sometimes it could be that the topic you've selected, right, is out of your program. Maybe you are doing mathematics, but it could be that your topic is something statistics. So they will tell you that this topic is not appropriate. Sometimes it could be that the timeline, that research might take 2 years to do that, and maybe you have just 1 year to do that project. So they will ask you to drop it. Okay. Sometimes it could be that their depth of knowledge in that field is not really that strong. So they can't supervise you. So they can tell you to change it or go to a different person who can help you and help supervise you in that field. And you should also think realistically about the practical implications of your choice in terms of, so you don't just select any topic, right? You have to be realistic about it. So you have to think about the practical implications of your choice in terms of the time requirement. As I said, there are some project topics that when you take them, you can use about 5 years to work on. And for instance, that's what most PhD students do. Their research topic can take several years to work on. But as an undergraduate student, you might have limited time, like maybe a year, 6 months, 9 months. So you have to make sure your research topic is something which can be done within that time frame. Okay. Then you have to also be careful in terms of necessary traveling. There are some topics, practical topics that when you are doing, you have to travel to take some data and the rest. So if you know you can travel, fine. But if you can't, you have to take into consideration all these. Then access to equipment or room space. So for instance, especially those in the engineering field and the biological sciences field, right? You would have to experiment and do certain things. And it could be that a particular tool that you need for that work won't be available to you. So that means that if you should choose that project topic, realistically you can't do it. Then you also have to take into consideration the access to the population of interest. So maybe let's say as a government student, you are working on a particular research topic, which would have to take data from a particular part of the population, let's say those in government, ministers. And you know it could be difficult for you to get information or the data from them. So that should tell you that that topic should be something that you should put on hold for now, right? Because if you can't get the data from the population of interest, then that means you can't do that work. So you have to change the topic. Then the possible cost. So there are some topics that when you're working on, you would have to spend a lot. So if you don't have that budget for it, then you have to skip it and look for a different one. So you have to take into consideration all these factors before you come out with a topic of interest. So once you have gotten a topic which has been accepted, you would have to develop a research question in the form of a research problem and then write a research proposal, right? So it's like having a business proposal, right? So after you've been able to come out with your research topic, you ask yourself, what is the problem that you want to solve with that particular topic? After that, you have to come out with something we call a research proposal, right? Or a synopsis. And that describes an overview. It's an overview of the work that you want to do, okay? And mostly your research topic would be accepted or not based on how you draft your research proposal. So before you start documenting your work, this is something just to let you know. So you would have to know these things like your title page, your declaration, dedication, abstract. So the title page is just something like this. Um, so just something like this. You can see here. So this is a title page, and mostly it contains the name of the institution, sometimes your college, faculty, department, the topic that you're working on, those who worked on it, and something later about it, okay? Then your dedication is maybe someone you're trying to dedicate the work to. And the declaration is you declaring that the work that you have done was done by you and it hasn't been used by anyone, right? So you have to declare that. Then acknowledgement. You might want to acknowledge some people in your work, so you acknowledge them. Then you would have to write an abstract, right? That's very, very important. So an abstract is a summary, right, of everything that you're going to do. Then if you used some abbreviation, you can bring it. So acknowledgement, you acknowledge certain people who helped you with the work. Then if there is any abbreviation, you bring it. Then when there is some list of tables, you bring it. So the contents of the work should also be well outlined. So your abbreviation, your list of tables, any table that you use, right? And your list of figures, like the images that she used. So this should be okay, but there's something which is not difficult. It's just part of the documentation process. All right. So now let's go to the main work. So now you have a project topic. All right. How do you write a project proposal or the research proposal? So what's a project proposal? So a research proposal is a more detailed description of the project you are going to undertake. Some departments and supervisors require you to submit a research or project proposal as part of the assessment of your dissertation, right? So to assess the topic you have come out with, they will tell you, all right, go and write a research proposal, and let's go through that to see how best we can get that done, if it is feasible or not. So a comprehensive research proposal will make you think through what exactly it is that you are going to do, and would help you when you start to write up the project. Mostly your research proposal is mostly used as your chapter one of the work. Okay. So writing your research proposal, right? So the content should be the topic, right? So the topic you have gotten, you have generated. Then an introduction to that topic. So you write a brief thing to introduce that topic. So if your topic is on, let's say, something like nest scheduling problem, then you write a little introduction about the nest scheduling problem. Then you have to write a background, right? So that particular topic will have a background, like, so you write briefly on that. Then there will be a problem that you want to solve. So you state the problem. We call it statements of problem or problem statement. So you write that here, and it should be brief and concise. Then your objectives. So what are your objectives in that particular work you are coming to do? And your objective should be doing words. So I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. In this research, I want to do this and that. So those are your objectives. Then your methodology. So you want to do this and that. But how are you going to do that? That's when the methodology comes in. So you outline the procedures and steps that you are going to use to achieve your objectives. Okay. Then justifications. So the method that you are going to use, justify why you want to use that. So the reasons why you think that methodology, like the step that you have outlined, the methodology is the best for the problem you want to solve. Then your limitations, your project or your research can't solve everything, right? It will have some limitations, so you outline them. Then the timeline. So you are going to work within a particular time. So you would have to specify the time that you think can help you to complete that project, so that you will know whether you can complete it or not. Okay. So this is the step you are supposed to go through to write a project or research proposal. So if you want to draft one, you can go to the internet and search for a template of it and use it to write yours. Okay. So now we go to the chapter one. Right. So the chapter one is just the synopsis, right? And I've explained most of them in the previous slide. So you have to write an introduction to the topic you are generating, the background of the study, the problem statement, your objectives, the methodology, justification, and thesis organization. So that one just helps you to know that, chapter one will talk about this, chapter two will talk about this, chapter three will talk about this, chapter four will talk about this, and so on. Okay. But don't worry, as I said, this is a general overview of all the things you're supposed to do. So with time, we'll take them one by one. We'll take chapter one, then go through everything in chapter one with examples and the rest. Okay. So chapter two is the literature review. And a literature review is an overview of the previously published works on a specific topic. So the topic that you want to work on, trust me, I'm not the first person to work on that. Other people, since we started in like university education, other people have worked on it. So we try to review their works there. Okay. So a literature review is supposed to provide the researcher and the readers or audiences with a general image of the existing knowledge on the topic under question. So producing literature review is often a part of graduate and postgraduate students' work, including in the preparation of a thesis, dissertation, or a journal article. Okay, so chapter 2, you have to review other people's work on the topic you are working on, the problem you are working on, and you document it. So then chapter 3 deals with the methodology. And research methodology is the specific procedures or techniques used to identify, select, process, and analyze information about a topic. So in a research paper, the methodology section allows the reader to critically evaluate a study's overall validity and reliability. And mostly, the methodology is the main work. If your methodology is successful, the rest is simple, right? So it simply refers to the practical how. How. So you have this problem that you want to solve from your research topic, but how will you solve that? So the how of it is the methodology. If you get the method to solve it, that means, and it works, that means the problem is solved. So it's about how a researcher systematically designs a study to ensure valid and reliable results that address the research objectives. Okay. Then we go to the chapter 4, which is data collection and analysis. So data collection is defined as the procedure of collecting, measuring, and analyzing accurate insights for research using standard validated techniques, right? And so mostly, in most cases, you have to collect data to test the method that you used, right? And make some analysis. So the data that you can collect can be primary or secondary. So secondary is when the data is available somewhere and you go pick it. And from a primary source is when you take the data yourself. You can design questionnaires, it can be through interviews and the rest for primary source of data. Okay. So after getting the data, then using the method that you have outlined in your methodology, you can use that to solve it and analyze it using plots and diagrams. Mostly you can see a lot of charts here, pie charts, histogram, and what have you. Alright. So after going through your data collection and analysis, then we have what we call the chapter 5, which is conclusion and recommendation. So after doing all from chapter 1, 3, and 2, 3, 4, 5, when you get chapter 5, you would have to now conclude on what you have done and make recommendations based on what you have done. So the conclusion and recommendation mark the end of a research paper. So no matter how much or how best you have written other chapters of your paper, it wouldn't matter if your conclusion or recommendation lacks so. Right? So no matter how good the other 4 chapters are, if your conclusion and recommendation is not best written, it makes your work some weeby. Yes, some weeby. Okay, so the conclusion part highlights to your readers the importance of your research to them after they have read through it. It also serves as a run off to the story in your research. Okay, so the most important thing here, your conclusion should be written in such a way that it relates to the objectives of the research paper. So in your chapter 1, you're going to outline objectives for that study, right? So if your objectives were 3, 1 to do this, 2 to do this, 3 to do this, when you are concluding, you should have 3 conclusions. And the conclusion means that you have been able to what? Achieve your objectives. So you wanted to do A, then you conclude in the first conclusion will be I was able to do A. The second objective was I wanted to do B. The second conclusion will be I have done what B, and so on and so forth. Then the recommendations are used to call for actions or solutions to the problems you have investigated in your research paper. So after investigating that problem, you have gotten some findings. So you recommend that based on those findings, this should be done, this should be done, that should be done, right? You get it? Those are the recommendations. So your recommendations highlight specific solutions and measures to be implemented based on the findings of your research. That's it. Then we have the reference in the bibliography. Okay, so students don't know the difference between the two, most students. Okay, so know the difference. References include sources that have been directly cited in your paper, right? Sometimes when you're writing a paper, you will cite certain things. You make a statement, you cite it. You make a statement, you cite it. So those are the references. So when you go to the reference section, it should include all the sources that have been cited in your paper. If they have not been cited in your paper, you don't bring them at the reference list. Okay. When it comes to the bibliography, right? So on the other hand, that one contains all the sources that you have used for your paper, whether they are directly cited or not. So that's the difference between the two. But mostly, especially in KNUST, we take the references, okay? And but in most academic writing, you can see both of them or you can see one of them, but just know the difference. So you know which of them you want to use. So a research paper can have both of them or just one, okay? And both the reference list and bibliographies appear at the end of a written work. At the end of a written work. So sometimes you can have an appendix, sometimes not. Alright, so appendices contain material that is too detailed to be included in the main report, such as long mathematical derivations or calculations, tables of raw data, codes, etc. So, in simple terms, an appendix contains supplementary material that is not an essential part of the test itself, but which may be helpful in providing a more comprehensive understanding of the research problem and all is information which is too cumbersome to be included in the body of the paper. Okay, so that's the appendix. So mostly when you do your work, there will be certain things that are not really needed in the work, but when you provide them, they are going to help someone understand the work to a very, very high level. So we provide such information at the appendix, and the appendix comes after the reference. Okay, so yes, these are the things you're supposed to do in your project. So in our next series of videos, we are going to take the chapter 1, then we digest it. Right? We take the chapter 2, then we make sure we exhaust everything we can see there. So we make videos on each of these chapters to explain them into details, okay? So until then, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bar so that you wouldn't miss those videos. And I wish you all the best, even as you start thinking about a project topic and start writing your project proposals and how you're going to go about it. So all the best and see you in the next series of videos.